Oh, Jaden, this may be a very short night. You and I are in. Well,
Yep.
there's Colonel Kelly.
I am here.
Well, that makes three of us. That's it.
Woohoo!
Like I said, maybe a very short night.
No, I've got 1,000 questions. So how's your new puppy? It looks like it's not going anywhere.
No, actually, I am developing it for someone else, so that's
Okay.
it's not going to be one of mine.
I got it. It's a handsome beast.
She's a sweetheart, very very smart, but we'll see how this goes. She actually may be leaving fairly soon, sooner than I expected. I was gonna try to develop her over the next 3 or 4 months, but she may be going sooner than that. So
Is this a service candidate or just yep.
yeah, she is. So far. We'll see. She has a lot of what I would be looking for in a service dog, so already they kind of once again top of the litter, so to speak, the way others have described her and raised her. So I got her at 3 months, so their descriptions were pretty good. And a lot of stuff going on the beginning of last week that I think shots the same day, and then total change of locations, and then all of the puppies going different places. So I think it got to a couple of them, and they ended up both in the vet for upset stomach issues. And I think where I picked her up was they actually had them, it had rained, and so it was wet and there were puddles, and it was where horses and dogs were, in fields. So it was really strange. And I saw some of the puppies, chewing on horse poop and who knows what else. So it just kind of wasn't a good location to transfer the dogs. So I think that factored in, but she perked up quickly. And actually, I got her there at 7 a.m. and took her in, and we did stuff, and then they were going to keep her there and give her, shot for nausea and antibiotic, and make sure that, temperature and everything else was okay. She was dehydrated from losing so much. She'd thrown up 5 times and pooped 4 times. And so it was in a very short amount of time. So that was quite concerning. I thought, those are some signs that parvo kicking in. And I was hoping that wasn't the case, because that's insidiously horrible. So we were kind of on watch there, but they got liquids in her. They used some canned ID food, and she kept it down. And about 1:30 or so, they called and said, "You can come get her. She's not doing well in the kennel," is the way they put it. And so when I got there, all I heard was screaming in the back. They put me in a room, and about 10 minutes of screaming, and finally the tech came in and brought her. And as soon as she saw me, and this was only 3 days with me, soon as she saw me, she quieted down and got happy and jumped into my arms. So that was a pretty quick turnaround. They were happy to get her out of there because she was giving them what for. Well, that was pretty funny, but she recovered quickly. But like I posted, she went from 15.8 pounds, which was way underweight, to she's 18.4 right now. But that's at 13 weeks old. It's kind of small. Because Bosch, when he came to me at 9.5, 10 weeks, um, of course, we'd tracked his weight the whole time that I'd worked with him, but he was 21 pounds when he came to me at 10 weeks. So, she's 13 weeks now and 18 and a half, or 18, yeah, basically 18 and a half pounds. So Bosch was a big boy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this may be it. So I'm not gonna wait any longer. There were some questions on here, so I'll go ahead and answer those. And it was about the piloerection. Those are the only ones that I got. So the written stuff. So I'll go ahead and do this because people might watch the recording. Somebody asked for links for the studies that I mentioned in the piloerection talk. I can certainly do that. I'll send that to Angela. It's actually, let me see. Others may not have access to that. It is actually a scientific group I'm part of, but it's and one of the publications is the International Journal of Psychophysiology. So, it rolls right off your tongue, and it's one of those types of places that I do study with. And so not sure how many people, but it was a reviewed study of emotional piloerection for obviously for dogs, and it was published and reviewed in 2022. It has quite a bit of information about specific things, so it's a very interesting study, but and it is scientific, so it may glaze people's eyes over, but I will try to share that with Angela and have her forward that on. So that's one question now. And all of these were about piloerection. The other was hairless dogs like Cholo Insqueatly. That's how you pronounce it, by the way. Do they still have the biological ability for piloerection, or has this gone due to their genetics? They sort of get goosebumps like we do still, because they have the residual of the hair follicle in the epidermis layer. So that's just a tensing of those muscles around that in the type of stimulation that creates piloerection. So still happens. It's a little tough to see on their skin. So that's a good question. The other one, if dogs are losing the hair in stressful situations, spreading their scent so that they appear taller, bigger to the opponent, their look too, obviously, not just scent, or is it rather like a lizard losing its tail to escape a situation? I will say no to that, meaning the threat would only take the spread hair instead of the dog. So losing hair would be a survival mechanism. Well, the loss of hair is actually from the stress, the follicles, and basically cutting off blood supply at that. And you humans lose your hair in stressful situations too, extremely stressful situations. So that happens as a natural course of things. I driving, you can probably look up the actual mechanism of how that happens with the epidermal layer. But the puff up, yes, that is, it's to show I'm big, I'm tough, I'm all that stuff. And you don't want to mess with me because I'm already ready to go. That's basically the signal that happens. But it also does, rather than providing a tamped down layer of, thickness, shall I say, it fluffs it up so that, a predator or an opponent will bite and may not get, or it may be a glancing blow. It also fills their mouth, if you will. So it has a number of functions on that. Gosh, that could be a whole class in itself. But so it is, losing the hair isn't part of the survival mechanism. This is part of the mechanics of what happens in the epidermal layer with hair follicles. So, and that is a stress related cause. So those are the only questions that I got. So, Tom, Jaden, you have any others about any of the stuff we've covered?
I honestly don't have any questions. I actually wasn't able to come to any of the other meetings. I just wanted to join this one because I did have the time. So I'm happy to listen to whatever questions you have, Tom.
No pressure. No pressure. I knew I should have spoken up faster.
Professional pass off.
That's right. Well, I was actually, and this is not relative to the topics discussed, so probably not appropriate for this call, but I was going to uh, glean additional information or understanding of the project around conference and kind of your thoughts on how you perceive that going. And but I don't want you to record it and share. I mean, it may not be the right venue, but I thought if we're done and you wanted to kill the recording, and then I'd just be curious, kind of what's your vision for that thing, so I could be thinking about how to be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, we can stay off. I can stop the recording. We can stay on after this. So, last time, this past week or this week, we had the personal behavior human factor aspect.
Yep.
Which I hope, that there could be a number of live talks just about that. Obviously, that's a huge, wide range of subject. Then we had the piloerection before that. And then before that, we had the territory. What does it mean to the dog? So those were the three. And then I don't think we had one for January either. So that was the devil's in the detail. And that one obviously that's a wide ranging thing by itself, because it's about all the categories and knowing all of those things. So that was kind of a broad brush one. So I can see why there weren't too many questions, because it could go on forever, literally. So so that was kind of a big one there. But the ones coming up are going to be interesting. And I guess if someone wants to jump in for the next Q&A, which is in July, and go review these, I'll take these from January forward as the Q&A. But next month we have pack dynamics, which is going to be another deep dive of a broad subject, because that's wide ranging and wide open. The one in June is called "What are the Rules?" And then in July it's Working Dogs, Lessons from Focus Practice. So
good.
And then, and then August is gonna be stop fussing with your dog. So, yeah. That's about it. So I think interesting subject for a lot of the people who are gonna probably see this or review this. Is we've toyed around with the idea of having a course 1.5 because there seems to be this huge gap of application issue between 1 and 2. And obviously 1 is just the concept introduction essentially. So they're really not into application yet. But a lot of people are, they find out about all this stuff. They don't know how to relate it to what they're doing then. And so they seem to, and this is feedback from lots of trainers, they seem to just fall back on what they've always done, and it gets frustrating for them. So the past 2 classes I've had, I've asked them, what would you want to see, or what would you want to learn between 1 and 2, especially for the people who've gone beyond 2, what would be helpful? And so they've come up with the answer. I'm kind of excited about it, which is basically case studies, not mine, but theirs. And analyze them, have video, have descriptions, basically, me talking like I would, trainers that I've done probably an average of 100 times a year over 40 years, that they have issues and problems with a dog, a behavior case, or their own dogs or whatever, and I help them through it, just on phone calls mostly. So it would be that, but it would be, Zoom would be a class, and we'd have to limit the number of people each class because obviously I want to get at least 1 case from each person. So they would be smaller classes, but probably multiples, at least a couple through each year. So that'd be kind of an interstitial class between 1 and 2, or one that helps define course 1 better for people if they just wanted to stop at 1, essentially.
I like that idea. I think you might consider, in terms of class sizing, and it may or may not be an issue, but kind of what they do in some workshops and seminars, have the working spots, and those are the people who have a case study, have a thing to present and to get assistance on, and to be the direct subject of the class. But I would think there'd be a fair number of folks, either because they're afraid to be put themselves in that position, or not quite ready to put themselves, but would benefit from observing, listening to what is going on with those people. And if it's you could price differentially or whatever, but I think a lot of folks would benefit from listening to the discussion that would go on with that core group who are looking for answers and solutions. So maybe a way to, and since you're doing it distributed, it would not, necessarily make it any less personal to the people who are actively engaged. And I think there are ways that those people you could turn on their ability to talk and listen, and the other folks are really in listen mode, kind of thing.
They're the peanut gallery that clap. They're the clapping seals.
golf clapping at the background. Yeah. Nice save, Nelson. Nice save.
Yeah. Okay. I see Bianca's joined us here. We're done, Bianca. There weren't many questions. There were, I think, 3 or 4 questions, and I answered them. So sorry. We will, yeah, that was a very quick one. I thought we might get done in an hour, and then Angela sent me 4 questions, and I went, well, stretching it out to an hour would probably not be wise. So yeah, so we're done there. Okay. well, I appreciate that, guys, and kind of thought it would be a light group this time because of the subject matters that we had, and they were more broad. Four were much more broad and kind of you just learn all of that over time. So that yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but again, and I will probably go ahead and take questions all the way from January to the July one, so that people can ask questions. I'll let Angela know that she can put that information out there. So, okay.
Good.
All right, guys. Well, we will I'll stop the recording at this point somewhere. Ah, there it is. Yes.